Good morning from...
You forgot the day, didn't you?
I'll let you do it. You're better
Day
at this.
107, I believe.
107. We're going from the Heartland Campsite to Port Clinton, 18 miles. It's a little bit of an up this morning, and the rest is pretty flat. But we're in the rockiness, so it might take us a while. Sorry for that crazy closing last night, but I was so spent. He was almost asleep. I couldn't even remember the day. Like, do you remember best and worst for you from yesterday? I couldn't even do yours.
I would say the best for mine yesterday was the food. All of it.
All of it.
Both the trail magic and the other.
And the hostel pizza?
Yes.
Did you have a worst from yesterday?
Not really, no.
I don't think I mentioned one. I don't know why, but we have been so tired the last couple of days. And it's actually been cooler. So I don't know what's going on. We're feeling a little sluggish today too. But we are less than 1,000 miles from Katahdin. So that is very positive and awesome and wonderful. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to report. We had a great campsite last night. Lots of spots to camp. There were 3 other people there, a Thru-Hiker and like long weekend hikers who had a fire going, which is really nice. We didn't really stop to enjoy it. They just said there's more sites down below that are flat, and we were like, okay, have a nice night. Yeah, a nice flowing water. So we have a water resupply in 5 miles and then nothing for the remaining 13. We are packing out 3 liters each right now. I think carrying the extra water is getting us.
Not really.
I think that's what's doing it.
Really?
I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm just making stuff up. All right, you guys, here we go.
Let's get going.
I know you only in my dreams. You come visit and I make a scene. You know with passion all that we could be. Love is forever. It's always you and me.
That's the first time I've seen a sign like that. Old AT closed for environmental issues. No, environmental issues. And then Appalachian Trail relocation, Burke's Co. High Point. All right. So it looks like a pretty new sign. I don't know if it's this year or from a previous year. So when we started this morning, it was 64 degrees. Paradise, guys. I had on my puffy coat. It felt breezy. It was wonderful. It's now up to 67, which is still awesomeness. I don't know how, I didn't even check the weather for today. I kind of started giving up on checking the weather because it was so disappointing when it was like high of 92, high of 95. So now we just get up and roll with it. Some days I check. So the terrain today so far has been flat, mildly rocky, but flat-ish, as you can see. And I don't think we're going super fast, but we're obviously moving faster than we were on the rocks yesterday. I heard it's going to get harder towards the end of our day. And I don't think it's going to probably will get up to about 75 would be my guess. But this is magic, and I am grateful for it. The captain has gone to fill the water, and I'm making us an early lunch. And while the water is boiling for lunch, I want to explain something to you kind of about accommodations. So there are 3 types of accommodations that you can have on the trail. There's a shelter, which are the wooden buildings that I've shown you that usually have a privy, a water source. In some states, like Tennessee doesn't have a privy. In some states, they'll have a picnic table. They might have a porch. We've seen a couple with beds and doors, but that's only been a couple of times. Then there's on the Forward app. So that is noted on the Forward app. And then noted on the Forward app is a tent site. And so what I'm going to show you now is a tent site. And then the third option is a stealth site. A stealth site is not on the app. And that's just when you come across an area has been cleared and you can kind of tell you can put tents there. There's usually not a water source and there's nothing else there. And it's kind of you happen upon it because it's not on the actual app. So if you look at here, I guess they're calling this one Black Swatara. I don't know if they're calling it a shelter. I don't know why the S is there, but sometimes they have signs, sometimes they don't. It depends on the state that you're in. And so when you come into a tent site, you will likely see a couple of spots that are kind of cleared that look like where a tent could maybe go, like one right here. There's a couple back there. There's usually a fire pit with some logs. Some people will rig up rocks and make them like a seat, which was really cool. We had one of those yesterday. And then often with a tent source, there is not a water source as well. But in this situation, there's a path over here that goes down to a water source. Not a very clear path. And Captain is down there getting some water for us. Now, when we get to a tent site like this, if we were going to stay here, we're not going to stay here, but if we were going to stay here, we would find our spot. Let's say our spot was, I don't know, right over here. Well, the first thing we do is we check to see if it's level ground, because we can sleep on uneven ground. We've done that before, but that's when there's no other option. So this is nice and level. Second would be to see if the ground is soft enough for us to put our stakes in. And most of the time it is, but sometimes you'll get on rock and then you're kind of in trouble. And then the third thing that we do is we look up and check for any trees. So there's none in this area, but let's just say this tree right over here that's kind of slanted a bit was burnt and a little rotten looking, and the spot was right underneath it. We would not stay there. We sometimes will look to see if there's acorns or anything that fall from a tree, because they could fall on us in the middle of the night. And when we're in a tent site like this, we try not to put our tent, say, right over here in this spot, because it's very, very close to the fire pit. And although we're at the back of the bubble and there aren't many people out here, sometimes there's section hikers and weekend hikers that will sit by the fire and be loud and play music and you know, whatever at night, which is totally normal for people out camping. But for those of us who are through hiking, we practice the hiker midnight and we go to bed pretty darn early. So if you really look around on a tent site, this spot over here is a little bit further from the fire pit. And then you'll sometimes see like little trails that go off to the side. And if you follow them, you'll probably find another tent spot. And so we try to get away from where the center area of attention would be, so that we can get a really good night's sleep. So we do a combination of the shelters, the tent site, and the stealth camping. Yeah. So our friend Henry asked a question if there's certain etiquette within the tent sites. Well, and the shelters. You should always carry out what you carry in. Don't leave any trash. Don't leave any fires burning. If you have bear cans or you're hanging bear bags, they should not be hung like right where the tents are. You should walk down a side trail or down the path. Not loud late at night. I think that's pooping. Don't poop right on the tent site, or pee, go off trail. And I think that's pretty much about it. Another great question that Henry had was, do we have to camp in these designated areas? So you don't, unless it's noted. So for example, in the Smokies, you had to camp in the shelters. In certain parts of the trail, it'll say you can't stealth camp in this area, but it's really quite rare. Like maybe there's been maybe 30 miles of the whole trail you can't camp in, plus the Smokies. And it'll be noted and designated. So it's kind of, whatever works for you. And obviously, if you're like on a ledge, you can't really camp there because it's hard to put your tent up. But overall, it's pretty easy to find spots to tent. This water source right here is literally a barely trickle. He can only fill up like a little bit at a time, and then he transfers it into the other bottle. But there are no more. All the water sources are dried up for the next 13 miles. So we just want to make sure we have enough. So from the video, this looks flat, but it is not. It's straight up. Straight up's hard. Straight up with rocks is mega hard. Woo. Towards the end of the day, I think we have 6.2 miles left. And I've heard it's pretty tough down too on the back end. So don't know how much we'll be taping, but I want to give you reality. Who would have thought 75 degrees would feel so wonderful? It's a little after 6. We have 1.5 miles left. The bugs drive me crazy, but I don't want to pull out my bug net. And then we will be in Port Clinton. We are meeting one of you lovely followers who is providing us trail magic for dinner, which is very exciting. And if all goes well, we will get to that candy shop before it closes, which I have no idea what time it closes, but I'm just hoping it's 7. I heard they have chocolate covered bacon.
You're a good wordsmith.
Oh, so
You
that's
say your
kind
name
of prepared
Giselle,
me.
right?
Yes,
Giselle. It looks really nice written too. I don't know, that sounds so weird.
Yeah.
But like when you see it on an email, like the name is just a
Yeah.
really great name.
There was an I on the end of Troyce. It was Troyce.
Troisi.
Okay.
And that
And
made it
when they came over from Italy, they dropped the I.
Oh, okay.
to Ellis Island.
Okay. All right, are we ready?
Yep.
You already taping?
Yep.
All right. All right. I have Giselle and Herb here with me. You guys remember Herb? I don't know if I actually showed him on the vlog yesterday. I might not have showed him, but he's the one who brought the trail magic to us yesterday, and she was unable to make it. So they brought us the most fabulous dinner tonight. Why do you guys do trail magic? Because I know you sent me information about someone else you've done it for before.
Yeah.
For
Last year we did Couch to Trails, basically the same area.
And we're just like, I mean, I know you know us through YouTube, but we're strangers now, not anymore, but we were. Is it weird, or like, why did you decide to, you reached out and said, hey, we want to give you trail magic. Like, what was the reason behind that?
Well, we did because we enjoy watching your vlogs.
Thank you.
They're awesome. The content is great. And we feel we want to give back to people who take us on areas of the trail that we'll never see. Right, honey?
Yes, that's true. Yep.
And what else? Why, you talk now.
Yeah, Port Clinton's a trail town, so we've experienced. The fire company up the street has spaghetti dinners periodically,
Yeah.
and we were at those, and hikers be walking past it, and we
Right, looking like they're starving.
Yeah,
See-
so we'd hike them in there, or get them in there and feed them, and it was like, oh, we just came off that horrible descent off
The trail towns and the trail communities are really kind and giving to the hikers, which I appreciate so much. We walked by one place that said, a little sign that said, hikers, if you need water, you can use the faucet on the outside of my house or something like that. And it is really kind. Like, we just came off, it wasn't too hard of a day, but the descent was
that's
awful.
cool.
And then you guys pulled up in the car beside us and you said hi, and we were like, oh, like
Camino.
right, Camino. Exactly, and so it really is welcoming once you've been living out in the woods all this time, and you're like, okay, there's other people, and we can talk about different things, and you're very generous. Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. It was
enjoyed
really
doing
lovely.
this. Yes,
This
I
was
want
great.
you guys can sleep over if you want.
Welcome to the end of day 107.
107, yes. We went 18.1 miles from Heartland Campsite to Port Clinton. Port Clinton is, oops, I gotta get some light, sorry guys. It's 10:15 at night. Giselle and Herb came and brought us dinner, and they showered us with so much love and kindness, and I might cry, Giselle. It was really, really fun, and we had lasagna and bread and a great conversation. They're both so interesting and wonderful and fun and appreciative. Like,
I agree.
and Captain is half asleep. We just had a long couple of days. It was so nice that they came and met us here. Now tonight, we're in Port Clinton, and we're sleeping in something called the Pavilion, which is like an outdoor kind of entertainment space with a roof, but no walls or semi-walls.
And I have jerry-rigged the tent so that it fixed and it worked.
The tent is like
I'm very worried.
in the pavilion between some picnic tables with no stakes because we don't have stakes, and it's a wood floor, so we can't
dig in our poles because that would break the wood.
And we don't have our stakes, but we couldn't put stakes into the wood anyway. So we're gonna take some footage of it in the morning and show you guys this. It's crazy. The tent is like sagging right here, so it'll be a miracle if it lasts through the night. But I was a little worried. We started talking about we're gonna just cowboy camp and put our sleeping bags out, and then we started talking about snakes, and then I got worried. So I was like, I want some protection against snakes. So Captain rigged this up.
I would say my best part of the day was the food.
My best part of the day was hanging out with Giselle and Herb. I really loved the conversation and just I wish we had more time, but we had to get to bed. The food was good too, really good. And then I also loved seeing how you were so creative about getting this tent up in a space that's
It took a structural engineering degree to figure it out.
It did. You might have to give up your aviation career. Did you have a worst part of your day?
No, not really.
My worst part of my day was the last 0.5 coming down the hill. I slipped and fell. I'm okay, but it was kind of hard and my feet were really aching today. So that was it for my worst part.
That's about it.
Well, it's kind of loud here because we're right by a road.
And it's very dark.
Very dark, and we're ready for bed. But it was a great day. It was a great day.
Yeah. With that, we will see you on day 108. Bye.
So our friend Henry asked a question about. They offered also to slack us for us to spend the night, but we declined because they seem like killers. No, I'm just kidding. Because Captain is going to see the Marvel movie tomorrow night, and we have to get up early and hike 15 miles before Will picks him up and takes him. It's a family tradition. So
I did say to Herb, maybe they're feeling us out. Just
yeah. We're vetting you.
Largo.
We had Will's done a what's that called, a background search? No,
Yeah.
a criminal check on you. No, I'm just kidding.